Hello everybody and welcome back to Robert's Reviews. We have finished the Lord of the Rings trilogy. We finished the first three movies. Now we have the Hobbit trilogy, which is still technically part of the Lord of the Rings universe, so I will be watching all three of those as well as requested to me by the Buckmans. So this is not technically the Lord of the Rings. What happened? Alright, if you guys don't know about the books are written as The Hobbit, then there's the three Lord of the Rings movies. So this is one book divided into three movies, and you can kind of tell. So, we're going to go ahead and start talking about The Hobbit, An Unexpected Journey. The Hobbit, An Unexpected Journey was released in 2012. It was written by Fran Walsh, Philippa Boyens, Peter Jackson, and Guillermo del Toro, and was directed by Peter Jackson. So, most of the same people that did The Lord of the Rings. It was still directed by Peter Jackson, who I do think is a pretty credible and really good director. For no spoilers, but essentially what happens is it is a prequel to The Lord of the Rings. I actually really like the beginning of this movie where it's all voiceover and they're talking about it as if it was in the past, right? Because what it does is it follows Bilbo as he's old, as he's writing The Hobbit, his story, and we're seeing his story as he's writing it, which is really cool. I think it's a great idea. I think it's better than just making a prequel. I think it works better. I really, truly do. Plus, we get to see Frodo a little bit, which is kind of nice. I wonder if they filmed that before. I mean, he kind of looked old, so I'm assuming it was newer, but you never really know. But, essentially, Bilbo's just chilling in his house, and Gandalf is like, hey, you're going to come on a journey with me. He's like, no thanks. And then they kind of talk him into it, because they kind of come into his house and destroy it. And then he realizes, I could just be on a journey, that's fine, I have nothing else to do. Then he goes, and then there's this big journey, and basically it's kind of weird, but like the dwarves' home has been taken over by a dragon, and they're going to try to kill the dragon because there's a prophecy saying that they can do it now. So they're going to try to kill the dragon so that the dwarves have their home back. And really what this part is it's about learning about Bilbo, because Bilbo, we realize, isn't the greatest character in the world. But what happens is we learn that he has a home and he likes it, so he's starting to understand the empathy for the dwarves, right? Because he's like, well, I have a home, but they don't. I want them to have one, so that's why he's more willing to go and be on the journey. I think the characters in this movie work pretty well. I really do. It's like considering the dwarves and the elves kind of have this hatred going on because the elves didn't help the dwarves when the thing was happening, which I guess I'm kind of on the side of the elves here. I'm like, I probably would not have gotten involved if I were them. So like, I just kind of think the dwarves are being a little petty. Like, the dwarves in the same respect probably wouldn't have done it either. I know I wouldn't have. I'd be like, nope, that's a dragon. Bye. I'm gonna go back home. I get it. I do. Maybe I'm selfish. But like, I don't even think it comes down to that more so when it comes down to like, it's a dragon. What are elves going to be able to do to a dragon? But whatever. That's a really big tension. And honestly, I think it's a little bit drawn out. I think there are a lot of issues with the movie, particularly the fact that they're so freaking long. This movie is so long. Every Lord of the Rings movie is so long. And like, the Lord of the Rings movies were long, but at least they kind of had a reason to be long. There's way more to do, right? This is the first third of the book. Like, that's like 100 pages into a 3-hour movie, and it's like, why? What are they adding? I haven't read The Hobbit. I read the first half of it, but then I got bored because it was just really dry and really boring. They're like, there's so much going on, and there's really cool spots. There really are. There's like really cool, interesting moments where you're like, ooh, I actually like that this is pretty long because it's really interesting to watch. Then there's just these long patches of like random fights that kind of happen that are like, or they could just walk. Like, I think I prefer that at this point. It's a weird balance that they don't quite strike. And I think that is the biggest downfall of this movie. And again, I think that it's really fun. There's this one spot where they're fighting these big orcs. I don't even think they're orcs. They're like giants or some sort. And it's really fun. It's a really cool scene. And like, Bilbo's talking him out of like cooking them. And it works really well. It's really fun. I like it a lot. And then they have these sequences right after and right before that are just them walking, and there's like, fight them, and they fight them. The elves come in for a moment, and it's like, oh, there's elves, and it's like, oh, it's kind of boring. Because there's a whole elf-dwarf dispute, which doesn't... I get it, I understand, but like, does it have to be so worn out? Does it have to be... Is that the main focus here? I don't think it is. And I don't know why we had to watch the entire thing. I really don't. This could have been a 2-hour movie, and it like... It did not need to be 3 hours long at all. And honestly, this whole movie and the other two movies probably could have been put together. I haven't seen the other two yet. I'm watching them next week. But, like, I feel like they probably could have been one movie and just made it okay. And also, the budget would have been, like, better. I just don't understand why it doesn't work for me. I do think the special effects are pretty great, though. I really do. And overall, I think it's a fun movie to watch. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it. I don't think it's bad, but it's certainly not perfection, and I don't quite think it's up to par with some of the Lord of the Rings movies. I didn't really like The Two Towers. I think it's about up to par with The Two Towers for me, but I don't think it's as good as the Fellowship of the Ring or even The Return of the King here. But let's talk about a couple of the actors. First, Martin Freeman as Bilbo. Martin Freeman's freaking great. I actually really like him as Bilbo. I don't know how the general audience thinks of him because I'm not a Lord of the Rings nerd, but I actually really like him. I think he is perfect. He's funny, he's relaxed, he's chill, but he's also got this weird, like, kind of action star to him that, like, you don't really expect from him. It's like Daniel Radcliffe in Harry Potter, right? You look at him, you're like, oh, he's this tiny little guy and he's nerdy, and then he can suddenly just, like, do all these weird, crazy stunts and crap, and it's like, oh, cool. And it's like, again, it kind of feels like that. He's like, Martin Freeman's like this weird little leprechaun-looking dude, and all of a sudden he's, like, really badass looking, and it's great. I think he really is fun. And of course, Sir Ian McKellen as Gandalf again. I actually kind of like Gandalf a little less here. He's less mysterious. He's less interesting somehow. I don't know why. Maybe it's like 60 years earlier, but like that's not a whole lot of years for him. I don't know what it is. I couldn't tell you what it is. I just think I liked him more in The Lord of the Rings. I think he was more fleshed out in The Lord of the Rings, which is weird because it was filmed before. It's complicated. I just don't think I like him as much. He's still good. I just don't think I like him as much. But with all that being said, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to give The Hobbit: An Unexpected Journey an A-. It's fun to watch. It's on HBO Max if you guys want to give it a shot. And I would recommend watching it after watching Lord of the Rings because I don't think watching it before would make much sense for you. But I liked it. It's fine. There's a lot of issues with it, but overall it is quality entertainment for 3 hours. So if that's what you're looking for, go ahead and check out this movie. Let me know what you guys thought about The Hobbit down below. The first one, not the other ones. No spoilers, please. Oh, I'll be done watching them, so you can go ahead and just drop it in the comments below. Subscribe, please. Consider subscribing. If you guys like all these things, I mean, I got a lot going on. We've got Lord of the Rings on Monday. We've got tomorrow is our last Leonardo DiCaprio. Then we're starting Robin Williams next week on Tuesdays. Wednesdays, MCU as always. Thursdays, we've got Quentin Tarantino. And Friday, we have a bunch of requests. Soon, we're going to be starting some actual series on Fridays because I've been requesting series. So I'll be doing those at some point. And then on Saturday, all Leonardo DiCaprio movies are ranked on that day. So make sure you guys check out that video. I'm really excited to film it. And as always, keep watching movies and television. Stay educated. And I'll see you guys in the next video.